Let's look at man, nature, and productive organizations. It would be better for us to have an idea if we move to this slide. This is the outline of the lecture. Man, nature, and productive organizations under threat of a self-regulating market. So you can see from here, there are actually 4 terms appear here. The first one is man, nature, and productive organizations. These 3 elements are the very important components in a market. A market is running by itself because there are three major elements here to be part of this so that the market exists. Market need to produce because the market is a function of supply and demand, right? When you want to supply, you need to produce. And the elements for productions are man and natures. And the one to organize the production of man and natures are production organizations. So basically, the title here, if you look here, the phrase here is man, nature, and productive organization under threats of a self-regulating market. So it's kind of very strange. We know that in a market, we need to have 3 major elements. That is here, man, nature, and productive organization so that a market can run. So a market can operate itself, right? But still, we found out that through economic history, we found out there have been existing a lot of threats coming out from a self-regulating market upon man, nature, and productive organization. So basically, this is the self-regulating market, right? But self-regulating market needs man, nature, and productive organizations. But when the market needs the 3 elements, man, nature, and productive organization, it also threat their existence. So it's very strange. I need you, but I want to destroy you. To some extent, it's just like that, right? So the market, I need the 3. But in the meantime, the operation of the self-regulating market is, on the other side, paradoxically, threatening the existence of man, nature, and productive organizations. So a lot of scholars, a lot of political philosophers, they started to think, what would be the cure for this kind of threats? So here, another issue coming in. Maybe we need to have some intervention. We need to have some intervention coming out from the state. To help out, to alleviate the pain of the threat caused by the self-regulating market. So this is the basic idea. Okay? First, we know a market needs man, nature, and organization, so a market can run by itself, right? But in the meantime, the market constantly threats man, nature, and productive organization, saying that I want to kill you, I want to destroy you. Very strange. So, to prevent this miserable happenings, the state must take actions to intervene into the operation of self-regulating market, right? So basically, this reading tells us this idea. The interactions between state and the market, and how man, nature, and the productive organizations survive under the threat of a self-regulating market. Okay, this will be very interesting. Okay, so the other 2 parts are English etymology and the tenses, and the last part is the assignments. So let's move on to the first one. Market versus its counter movement. we know a market, we live in a market now, right? But market, what's wrong with the market, and why there's a so-called counter movement? So for a century, the dynamics of modern society, the dynamics, the power, the actions, the active movement of modern society was governed by a double movement. So there are two movements out there. The one is the market expansion. The market expanded continuously. So we see the market engulf everything. We are living in a market right now. No one can excuse himself from this market operation. So basically, we are part of the market. Is that right? Okay. But while we are facing an expanded market, we see there's a so-called counter movement out there. There's a counter movement constantly trying to check the expansion of definite directions. So we have a movement of the market, a free market. But on the other side, we have a counter movement. And this movement constantly check the expansion of the movement, of the market movement into certain definite directions, trying to prevent harm. Trying to prevent harm against man, nature, and productive organizations. Okay, so we know this kind of counter movement is, of course, very important. Why? Vital though such counter movement was for the protection of the society. We know that we men live in one society, and we are part of the market operation. If we men are harmed from the market operation, then the society would collapse. Is that right? So prevent the collapse of the society, we need to help out the men, nature, and the productive organization. So that is why this kind of counter movement so important. But this kind of counter movement in the last analysis, in the previous chapter of the same book, it was incompatible. That is, this counter movement was designed to protect human beings so that we can protect the society from collapse, right? But this kind of counter movement was incompatible with what? Two things. Self-regulation of the market. We emphasize on the market. We say the market should be able to regulate itself. So to make this happen, the government should be away from the market operation, right? But what is the source of the counter movement? The state. So look here, the counter movement is very, very important to help us from the collapse of the society. But the counter movement itself is contradictory to the main idea of the self-regulation market. Is that right? We don't want the state. If we want to have a pure market, then we don't want to have state. But now, because if we emphasize only on the usefulness of the self-regulating market, then man, nature, and the productive organization will be harmed. So we need to have the intervention from the state. It's very strange, right? So, and this kind of state-initiated counter-movement would be incompatible with the self-regulation of the market. And because of this, it will be incompatible with the market system itself. So basically, when we have a market counter-movement, we have a market itself, right? So both of these two cannot exist in the same time. It's very difficult to coexist. But we still need to have this kind of counter-movement. Or otherwise, man, nature, and the productive organization will be doomed. If we leave man, nature, and the productive organization to the hands of the market only, then the market itself will not survive either, right? Because if man, nature, and the productive organization doomed, then the market will collapse too. If the market collapses, then the society will be dissolved. So you can imagine this kind of consequences out there, right? Okay. So let's examine a little bit about the new way of life under market system. Well, we do not just jump into the modern day market system. There must be some kind of development out there. So under the new market system, we have a new way of life. So that system, this kind of life, that system refers to the market system, developed in leaps and bounds. It does not grow gradually. It has a dramatic change by its quality and its quantity. It's so huge. And this kind of leaps and bounds, let's say, it engulfed space and time, means it devolved, it includes everything. Engulf space and time, and by creating bank money, use the bank money, it produces a dynamic hitherto unknown. So look here, we have a system, and the state uses the bank money to control the currency, to control the monetary policy. So basically, it produces a new dynamic no one has gone before, has known before. We just get ourselves into a new market system. By the time it reached its maximum extent, around 1914, okay, every part of the globe were comprised in it, basically. So around 1914, everyone, every land, every piece of land, every human being living on the earth, everyone, every kind of organizations, whether it's real organization or some kind of government organizations, were comprised in it. No one can excuse himself. Everyone is part of the global market system. So every part of the globe, what do we mean? Every part of the globe, all its inhabitants, all people living there, all human beings. The inhabitants not only refers to human beings, animals alike, right? So all its inhabitants, and yet unknown generations. It doesn't matter how many generations later, doesn't matter. Physical persons as well as a huge fictitious bodies called corporations. Corporations means companies, multinational corporations, organizations who provide supply to human beings. So it doesn't matter, every part of the globe were comprised in it. So basically around 1914, we are in a modern society market system. No one is outside. No one can be exempted from this one. So this is a new way of life under market system. So let's see. A new way of life spread over the planet with a claim to universality unparalleled since the age when Christianity started out of its career. So basically, this new way of life has spread all over the world, just like the Christianity started out of its career. So Christianity in the West, have been overwhelmed of the people to believe in the same God, right? But this time is a little bit different. Only this time, the movement was on a purely material level. So spiritually, most of the people in the West believe in God, believe in Jesus, the same God, right? This is the spiritual side, your belief. But only this time, when we talk about market emphasizes on the material. But this time, we have a universalities for everything. But this time is a little bit different from the previous ones. When the Christianity spreads all over the world, but this time is material. So market is everywhere. Okay? And under this new system, what will be like for us? Okay, let's take a look. When everything is here, then we have foreseen and we have witnessed a new counter movement was simultaneously was on foot. So when we have a market, but in the meantime, at the very same time, simultaneously, let's look at this one. It's really interesting to take a look. Simultaneously, simul means same. And TN means to hold, to take. So if you take two things at one time, it means at the same time, simultaneously. Okay? For example, there are many other words can come out from the simul. Simul or simul, this another spelling refers to same, right? Same. So simultaneous, ten, there are many different ways to spell. Ten, tin, or ten. They all refers to hold or to take. Okay? So you take both things at the same time, the same. So it means that simultaneous at the same time. And simul, for example, similar. Similar refers to things are very similar. Okay? And how about simulate? If you put an ATE after this, it's kind of to mimic the actions of something, simulate, right? To make the same thing. Okay, this is for etymology, but that is not the key here. Now, the key here, let's continue. So, we have a market spread all over and engulf the globe altogether, but in the meantime, simultaneously, we have a counter movement. This counter movement was more than the usual defensive behavior of a society. It's more than that. It's not a knee-jerk reaction to try to prevent themselves from harm. No, it's more than that, faced with change. It was a reaction against a dislocation. Dislocation for what? Dislocation for man, for nature, and for the productive organization. In a market, what kind of dislocation that will face, that a man needs to face? What kind of dislocation? You have to move away from home. Is that right? You have to move yourself into the job market. No exception. You cannot say, you cannot claim, okay, I will leave my home and farm my own garden and feed myself. No, you have to move. Move away from the territory that you are used to have, right? So dislocation for everything. And this, it was the counter movement was a reaction against a dislocation. And this kind of dislocation would attack the fabric of the society. Previously, in an agrarian society, we have been used to live in our village, right? There's a networking out there. But now you have to move into the city. What would happen? And the fabric of your village, the networking of your village would have been destroyed. Would be destroyed. So this kind of dislocation is threatening to a lifestyle of our human being. And again, this kind of dislocation, which would have destroyed the very organization of production that the market had called into being. So look at it, it's very strange. And we need man, nature, and productive organizations for the operation of the market. But the market has forced dislocation of man, nature, and productive organizations, right? So in return, this kind of dislocation will destroy the very organization of production the market is counting on. So market counter movement. So Robert Owens was in a true site. Robert Owen has a nickname called as the father of the socialism for England. So it was born in the late 18th century. He emphasized on the equality of the human being, the welfare system of the human being. So what he said here is a true insight. That is, market economy, if left to evolve according to its own laws. That is, if we allow a market to be unchecked by the system, then we'll create great and permanent evils only. So this is a very true insight, right? Market is important. Market is important for us, human beings. But if we allow the market to evolve itself without any kind of regulations, then it will only create great and permanent, long-lasting, forever evils to human beings. So market need to be checked. Is that right? Market need to be checked. Okay. So let's examine the means of productions. Man and nature, of course. Let's say this, production, when we want to supply, we need to produce, right? And the production is basically an interaction of man and nature. We are very useful means for productions. If this process is to be organized through a self-regulating mechanism of barter and exchange, then barter and exchange, barter means that we trade with goods only, but without money. Okay, for example, my cell phone is an Android-based Samsung, and I found out your pencil is so useful. If I believe that the usefulness of the pencil is more than the usefulness of the cell phone, I would like to trade with you, right? So this is a barter exchange. Not money, but with the barter exchange. So if we want to organize this process with self-regulating mechanism, barter and exchange, then man and nature must be brought into its orbit. Its orbit means its scope, its parameter, its operation. We must bring in man and nature into the operation, into the production of the market. And because of this, man and nature must be subject to supply and demand. Imagine this, we need man and the nature for the purpose of productions, right? So if we treat man and nature in this regard, then man and nature will be put into the domain of supply and demand. That is, a company, for example, a company opens several vacancies, positions, to hire new hands, right? Then they will post on the website to indicate the conditions of the job, the requirements of the job, and also the payment, the salary for the job, right? When a company, the productive organization, one kind of the productive organization posted an announcement on the website to say they want to hire a person with certain credentials for the job with a payment of some money, right? It treats your labor as a dollar sign, basically. So you man, is part of the supply and demand chain. That's it. So you may be worth of, let's say, $35,000 for a job. So you will contribute your labor into the market for 1 month and get in return for $35,000. That's it. So man in this regard is evaluated by wage, right? So you are part of the supply and demand, no more than that. And how about land? Land can be transferred into a rent, right? For example, if I want to rent the classroom for my purpose of production, then I need to pay the money to the school as a part of rent. So the land has become rent, right? So land is incorporated into the chain of supply and demand too. So basically, if we want to put man and nature into the market, then they are part of the supply and demand too. So in this regard, that is, they need to be dealt with as commodities. So labors and lands are commodities, okay, as goods produced for sale. So man and natures are for sale. That's it. So pity, right? So pity. But well, this is the rule of marketing operation. No exception. So imagine this. I myself, I'm a professor, right? But still, I sell my labor. I sell my labor to the market. And in return, I get my wage for my monthly pay, right? So if you move to a very, very huge macro perspective, then each of us is only part of the market productive force. That's it. Each of us. If we don't look at the human side, the nature, and we are just part of the supply. We work for wage. That's it. Is that right? Just like you, if you go to have your part-time in some very strange place, crime schools, you are just barter out your wage, your ability, your labor for wage. That's it. That's right. Okay? So there's man and nature as means for productions. And so that man and nature are for sale. So such precisely was the arrangement under a market system. We are no exception. We are no better than others. Let's look at man. Let's look at the others in nature. Man, under the name of labor, right? We. And then nature, under the name of land, were made available for sale. So basically, when we work, to its very, very minimum idea is that we are selling our labor into the market. That's it. Is that right? So man under the name of labor and nature under the name of land were made available for sale. So we are selling that. The use of labor power could be universally bought and sold at a price called wages. Is that right? And the use of land could be negotiated for a price called rent. So it's kind of interesting. Man, labor, wages. Nature, land, and rent. So can we be bought? Yeah, of course. We are part of the commodities in the market. Yeah? Okay. So there was a market in labor. So we have a market in labor as well as in land. There's a market in land because land can be sold, right? With the name of rent. And men can be sold in the name of wage or labor. Okay? So this kind of supply and demand in either. So supply of manpower, supply of lands will also need to be put them into the scope of supply and demand. So they were regulated by the height of wages and rent respectively. Right? Who pay you more, then you will go to that. There. Very simple. Who will pay you more? Let's put other considerations aside. For example, you really like the school or what. But most likely in a free market, you will consider who will pay you a higher wage, right? If you always go to the higher wage paid job, higher paid job. That's the way. So the fiction. This kind of idea, the fiction, the labor and the land were produced for sale was consistently upheld. Fiction, fic. F-I-C means to do. So fiction has a lot of different meaning. Fiction can be referred to as a novel, okay, something written for a story, a fiction. And here it refers to a man-made theory, man-made story. So this kind of man-made story that labor and land were produced for sale was consistently upheld. So it is there. It is there. It is proved. It is supported by the evidences. So let's look here. Capital, the money that you have, capital invested in various combinations of labor and land could thus flow from one branch of production to another. So let's look here. We have money in the form of capital, right? We can use the capital to purchase labor. We can use the money to purchase land. And the money flow from here to there. So the arrangement, the combinations of labor and the land will be different in many different ways, right? But the money flow is quick. But how about the flow of man and nature? Very slow, right? So imagine this. If I were the owner of Wenzhou, I am the sole owner of the Wenzhou, I have an abundance capital to purchase this, to operate this. Suddenly, I found out that I don't want to devote my money, invest my money into education. I want to do more money-making businesses. So I divert my capital into another sector of business. It's very easy for me to transfer my fund to another sector of production, right? But how about you? How about me? No, how about you? Just for me, because I am the owner. I don't care. How about you? You're students. You cannot just move into another sector, right? So you can see the disparity between the money flow and the flow of land and the human being, right? Very difficult. This creates problems, a lot of problems. So capital invested in the various combination of labor and land could thus flow from one branch of production to another, as was required from the automatic leveling of learnings in the various branches, which means the money of the flow of the money, the capital, is regulated by the profit-seeking exercise. Whichever can make more money, then the capital will just go there. Is that right? This is very easy. But the flow of man and nature is very, very difficult. And this kind of difficulty will cause the dislocation of man and nature. Okay? And this kind of dislocation would attack the fabric of the society and collapse the society, and make our society that is capable to sustain the living of all human beings. Very strange, okay? Continue. So that's why we need to have a counter movement, right? We cannot just allow the flow of the capital to switch the combination of their portfolio, including land and men, as they like. Even though if I were the owner of Wenzhou, can I just simply divert, switch, just take away all my money, all my capital here in Wenzhou to another place? Yes, in a self-regulating market system, I would be permitted, but I could not. I cannot do this because there is a regulation from the government. Right? The state would intervene in my action. So I would not be allowed to switch my money from here to other more money-seeking business. No, I cannot, because the intervention is there. So that's why we need to have a counter movement. Counter movement is required. Is that right? But why production could theoretically be organized in this way? This is a theoretical way of organization for production. I can just happily and without any restriction to move my capital from here to there, because I can make more money. This is theoretical way of our productive organization, right? But this kind of commodity fiction disregarded the fact that this kind of fiction disregarded the fact that leaving the fate of soil and people to the market would be tantamount to annihilating them. So if we allow this kind of fiction stands true, which is allowing people to move their investment, move their capital to wherever they like, and whatever and whenever they like, allow them to freely to move their capital from here to there. If we allow this, then it means we destroy all the human beings and all the land, soils, and natures we have. So what is annihilating? Annihilate, to completely destroy. What is completely destroy? Well, the meaning for this is kind of interesting. An refers AD, it is 2. And NIHIL means 0. So if you make something 0 become 0, you completely destroy it. Right? You just completely destroy them. So it's, if we allow this, this commodity fiction stands true, then we will leave the fate of soil and people to the market. And it is equivalent to completely destroy man and nature. So we need intervention. We need counter movement. So accordingly, the counter move consists in checking the action of the market in respect to the factors of production, labor, and land. So that's why we need to have a counter move. We need to have a counter move capable of checking the factors of production, labor, and land. We need to check like that. We have to make sure that they are unharmed from the market operation. So this was the main function of interventionism. So when we say interventionism, what do we say? We say a counter movement against the possible harm could be done by the market against the man, nature, and the productive organization. So counter movement is required, is necessary. Is that right? Because if we do not do this, then all the productive means of the productions would be destroyed. Horrible. Okay, so do we need state? Yes, of course. But do we like too much intervention from the state? Well, that depends. What kind of state intervention you are talking about? That's why there are a lot of political theories. That's why we have a lot of political philosophies. First, they always debate how much intervention that the state needs to get into the market, right? The more, then you have a conservatism. The less, then you have a liberalism, right? If you have a complete control, complete intervention, then you have an authoritarianism or totalitarianism. It's kind of interesting. That's why the more you study about political science, the more you will understand the nature of the human or us, well, you human beings, how we look at ourselves, how we protect ourselves. Okay? Interesting. So basically, no matter what kind of political philosophies you believe in, one thing we are very, very sure is that we need to have a counter move against the market expansion. Indeed, we need. The problem here is how much we need. Okay? But still, we need. Okay, let's say, when we talk about the harm possibly caused by the market upon man and nature, how about productive organizations? It is no exceptions to the threat either. So productive organization was threatened too. Productive organization was also threatened from the same quarter, same issue, same factor. The danger. What is the danger about? The danger was to the single enterprise. Industrial, agricultural, commercial insofar as it was affected by change of the price level. Only one single enterprise, that is the price. The price level can destroy the productive organization. Let's elaborate. why price is so important. Okay? For under a market system, because under a market, if prices fail, business was impaired, will be harmed. Let's imagine this. Let's say iPhone, the iPhone 12, right? Okay? And the iPhone 12 now it is sold as a very huge, high-priced product. It's let's say it's 30,000 NT for one piece of iPhone 12, right? 30,000 NT. There. Now Apple can make money because it labeled the price for $30,000. Okay, but immediately, suddenly, just one day after, tomorrow, no one in the market accept $30,000 for that. Then Apple is suddenly they found that they cannot sell the Apple iPhone 12 in the price of $30,000. So Apple company has to cut the price, right? Let's say like half to $15,000. What would happen about the price change? Then the cost that Apple company has put into production will suffer. It's fixed over there, right? Then the profit margin will be downsized a great deal, significantly. And the Apple company could not make any money from this. Then the Apple company has to cut out, has to let a lot of its employees go, right? Because it cannot afford to hire this amount of human labor out there. So people will be dislocated. So you can imagine this. This kind of price fail can cause a lot of problem, right? So unless, of course, when can we have no problem? If the Apple iPhone 12 fail the price into only half, how can Apple company excuse itself from the harm? Unless there's one possibility. That's all other costs of the productions fail according to the proportion, which means that all the production costs cut into half. The labor, the land, the production, all the means, equipment, money into half. Then Apple will be fine. Will be fine. But will this happen in our real life? No, it's not. So that says unless all elements of cost fail proportionately, but it's not. Unless. Okay? Then if this does not happen, it will not happen in our real life. The cost of production is always fixed over there. So if the price fails into half, then going concerns would be forced to liquidate, to sell out. Then they have to lay out a lot of people, right? They have cut out a lot of new spare parts that originally they would like to order, but they will cancel all the orders. So all the going concerns were forced to liquidate. While the fall in prices might have been due not to a general fall in cost, but merely to the manner in which the monetary system was organized. What does this mean? It provides more explanation about the possible fall of the prices. Sometimes price fall because of the demands is decreasing, right? The decreasing demand will force your price to fall, but sometimes it is just a simple change of the monetary policy. Monetary system can harm you. For example, and I'll give that example later after we have a 10 minutes break. Okay, let's take a break first. So another example for the change of the monetary system can hurt the market, can hurt the business, can hurt the productive organizations. The change, the huge, the so-called depreciation of the, let's say, the foreign exchange rate. Imagine this, if the new Taiwan dollars now to one USD is around 28.5 NT here, right? let's imagine this. It's suddenly one day, just tomorrow, it's changed to, let's say, the depreciation of the American dollars to half, let's say. We can use only $14 to buy one American dollars. Then we will say poor Americans, very poor Americans. They, not only the change of the foreign exchange rate, but also the lifestyle, the production organization will go bankrupt. So many of them. You can imagine this. So difficult. So, and this is not caused by it's not caused by the company itself, right? It is caused by the monetary system, the market, the change. Okay? So this kind of hurt, this kind of harm was evidently throughout the history. So that's why we say, as we shall see, this kind of hurt caused by the change, this kind of impairment caused by the change of the monetary system was often the case under a self-regulating market. Indeed. So do we allow a market to freely develop itself? Well, at least conventional wisdom nowadays, no, of course not. Dangerous, right? Okay. So we introduce monetary here. So money here is basically it is a commodities for exchange. That's it. Money. The purpose of money is to exchange. So we use purchasing power is in principle here supplied and regulated by the action of market itself. This is meant when we say that money is a commodity, when we say money is kind of goods with large quantity, the amount of the money is controlled by the supply and demand of the goods, which happen to function as money. That's it. So when we say commodity is a large amount of goods, right? And money its sole purpose is for exchange, and it is a commodity for exchange, right? So this is a well-known classical theory of money. So money is a very funny thing, indeed. Let me take out a banknote for demonstration purpose. How much is this? 1,000. Yeah, of course. But to its accent is a piece of paper. Is that right? Is that right? Its accent is a piece of paper. But you always believe in one thing. You can use this banknote to make an exchange for a service or for a product, for something that is worth of $1,000 as you perceive, right? So this is a tool for exchange only. And the government makes you to believe that there's a value of 1,000 there, right? It's so strange. It's not gold. Gold something you can hold on, right? But it's just a piece of paper. And we people are made to believe that there's a power of purchasing with the banknote. So this is money. So money basically, so imagine this. If one day we all agree to accept pencil as money, and then the pencil here has one only function, that is for exchange, right? Exchange only, if we all believe that. But throughout the history, we have used a lot, we humankind, human beings have used a lot of different exchange tools, right? Shell, hides, very strange stone, gold, they are all serving the same purpose for exchange. That's it. We accept that. So maybe one day we can just shift to accepting this pencil as a means for exchange. There's a value up there, right? It's so strange. So why do you believe in this money? But there's a rule. There's some principles out there, right? Okay, so we have some explanation about money as commodities here. The classical theory emphasizes money is only another name for a commodity use the exchange more often than another. So we use money, banknote, right? And it is therefore acquired many in order to facilitate the exchange. So nowadays in our modern society, it would be very difficult to imagine that you carry thousands worth of gold with you and make an exchange, right? So apparently the banknote is issued by the Taiwan bank. Now it's much more convenient for you to make the exchange, right? So, and of course we can use cell phone with Google Pay, and then your money is gone, right? So exchange, that's or credit cards or other means of or payment. That's much easier. So this, in this regard, to facilitate exchange. So whether hides, oxen, or shares or gold is used to this end is immaterial. It is not really relevant. Not really relevant. It's just something you need for exchange. That's it, right? So the value of the objects functioning as money is determined some way, as if they were sought only for their usefulness in regard to nutrition, clothing, ornaments, and all other purposes. That's it. But for you to make exchange for other things. So this is something, okay? So if gold nowadays, a lot of different peoples in the world accept gold previously. If gold happens to be used as money, okay, gold is money. Of course, other than its ornament purpose or some kind of high-tech purpose, if this is purely used for money, its value, amount, and movement are governed by exactly the same laws that apply to other commodities. That is, when the commodity is less, then the demand of it will be higher, and the value of it will be higher. That's it. So market law still applies to the operation of the commodities. Okay, so creating another means of exchange as an interference with the market. So why do we need to introduce money here? Well, very simple. To some extent, it is a tool for government intervention. A tool. The tool, previously throughout history, the money comes out from the market itself. Gold, oxen, hides, shell, the market itself, right? No one creates it, no one. But how about bank note? Basically, the market cannot create bank notes for us because the market cannot print this for us, right? So this has become as a means of interference with the market. The bank can print more banknotes into the markets, right? Or take the banknotes into the banking system by creating a higher interest rate for people to deposit more. So it's kind of interventionism. Okay, so any other means of exchange would involve the creating of currency outside of the market. What do we mean, any other means of exchange? This refers to, this is original forms of exchange we have. Hides, oxen, shares, or gold, and some other stuff, right? Okay? These stuffs have served as the means for exchange for a long time. And where did they come from? They all come from the market itself. Is that right? Inside the market. But now we are talking about creating any other means of exchange, the creating of a currency outside the market. If any other means, we use a paper printed by the central banks of all different governments, and we just treat it as a means for exchange. Then basically, we are creating currency outside the market, not inside the market, right? Okay, So the act of its creation, when we create the banknote, the money, whether by the banks or government, always constitute an interference with the self-regulation of the market. So look here, basically it will be very simple to look at. This is the market itself. Previously, our money come from here, 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 here. Different style, different stuff, okay? They are all existing inside the market itself. And now, today, we are using the money and put the money inside the market, right? And the new money is created by the governments. So they use the paper money and put them into the market as the means for exchange. When the government put money into the market, the government is intervening the operation of the market. Is that right? Has already constituted the intervention of the state. Already. So interventionism starts from here, the monetary system, nowadays in our modern society. Okay. So this kind of banknote has constituted an interference with the self-regulation of the market, right? So the crucial point here is that what do we need to know here? That these three things we will state here are inherently false. What are the three things that previously we believe that they were true, but today in a new market society, they are totally wrong? That is, goods used as money are not different from other commodity. Wrong. Money. Goods used as money are not different from other commodities. These three arguments are within the domain of the classical monetary theorists. They believe that money are just a commodity for exchange. But not, this is wrong for our idea of interventionism. The second one, less supply and demand are regulated by the market like the other commodities. This idea was also wrong. Third, that consequently all notion investing money with any other character than that of a commodity being used as a means of direct exchange are also wrong. Which means we have to detach the idea of money as simply as a means for exchange, but they are also commodity. No, they become a tool. They become a tool for the government to intervene into the operation of the self-regulating market. Let's see. The classical theory would argue one thing. For example, the so-called quantum economic policy. The United States has printed a lot of American dollars into the market, right? The classical theorists would argue the more banknotes for you to put into the market, then the value of the banknote will be depreciated. For example, in the market, there is only $1,000 worth of American dollars circulating into the market, right? Okay. And because of the $1,000, so we have only $1,000 worth of products over there to be bought, exchanged, circulating in the market. Classical theory indicates that if we print the money to 2,000, right, by emitting this, the market still has only 1,000 worth of the products, goods over there. Then the money would be depreciated into 50%. So the value of the 2,000 banknote will be only 50% worth of the previous one. This is 100%, right? because of the classical theory. But do we see this happen? Not really, not according to the proportion completely. We don't see that American dollar depreciate to is 30%. No, we don't see that. So basically, the money printed and put into the market is still there. And the depreciation ratio does not occur to this percentage. Not yet. No, it does not happen. Does not happen in this way. So basically, the old notion of the classical theory, the 3 point here. Goods used as money are not different. No, they are really different. They are tools. Okay? And money's supply and demand regulated by the market like other commodities. Not really. Because they are tools. So the government can decide how much they want to put into the market. And also, the old notion investing money with any other character, we don't have to put money with other characters. No, they are not. They are tools. They are policy tools for the government to control the operation of the market. So all of these classical notions are wrong. So with this regard, if gold is used as money, if we accept that, banknotes, if such exist, must represent gold. So banknotes, money, the value of the money must represent the whole value of the gold you have reserved inside your central bank system. So this is the old notion of money. The government was not allowed to print more banknotes with more value than the gold you had in your central bank. This is the old notion, okay? It was in accordance with this section that Ricardian school wished to organize the supply of currency by the Bank of England. Because the Ricardian school, what is the Ricardian school? They emphasize on international trade, right? Because of the comparative advantage. You produce, if you are good at manufacturing bicycles in China, if you are good at manufacturing cars in the United States, then Americans should focus on the production of automobiles, and Chinese should emphasize on the production of bicycles. Then they can trade, international trade. Okay? So, and then with this, then we need to have a central bank to regulate the money worth, the worth of the money. So it's very important. So in the beginning of the 19th century, Ricardian school, they want to have the Bank of England to step in to supply the currency by publishing money. Okay? Indeed, no other method was conceivable that's made possible, which would keep the monetary system from being interfered by the state. Okay? Some Ricardian school, why it emphasizes on the role of the Bank of England, because they still trying to separate market and the state. They believe that Bank of England can be neutral, can be independent. When issue the banknotes into the market without the control, manipulation from the government. Okay, so this is the one way they try to get the market from the interference by the state, one way. And because doing this, if there is an independent central bank, that is capable of regulating the market operation, then we do not need to have the state, right? Okay, so that's safeguard the self-regulation of the market. But it's kind of intriguing with the relationship between the central bank and the government. Ideally, the operation of the central bank for every state has to become independent. Is that right? Like here in Taiwan, we have a central bank. And the United States has Fed, right? Theoretically, their operations, their interference into the market is designed to be independent. But in practice, some are only very few can be a real independent by themselves. Very few. Most of them will depend on the gist of the government. Why? They will have to depend on how the government determine to have a new monetary policy or not. Okay? So banking system, state, government are always a very intriguing relationship that we can study. It's very interesting. Maybe you can explore more in the future. Okay? So let's talk about man, nature, and the productive organization. Why do they need protections from the government? Okay. Therefore, in respect to business, a very situation existed as in respect to the natural and human substance of society. We know that we human as labor, we earn wage. Nature can be treated as land to be exchanged for rent. They could be harmed by the government, by the market itself, but also the business who become the productive organizations can be harmed too. So the self-regulating market was a threat to them all, basically, and for essentially similar reasons. The harmful effect come out from the change of the price level. Can be, and the change, the quick move of the capital. So all need protections. Only protection, how and why. So let's look here. Factory regulation and social laws were required to protect individual men. It's right, industrial men. So as a man living in the industrial society, we need factory regulation. We need social laws, right? Okay. From the implication of the commodity fiction in regard to labor power, and let's look at land. Land laws and agrarian tariffs were called into being by the necessity of protecting natural resources and the culture of the countryside against the implication of the commodity fiction in respect to them, right? So look here, men, we need to have factory regulation and social laws. But how about land? Land need laws, land laws and agrarian tariffs to protect them, okay? So it was equally true that central banking and the management of the monetary system. So we do also need a central banking and the management of the monetary system. We need to keep manufacturers and other productive enterprises safe from the harm involved in the commodity fiction as applied to money. Look here. So all of the three basic elements, man, nature, and the productive organization, all need something created by the states. They all need. The state can provide regulations, labor laws, social laws to protect human beings. The state can create any kind of agrarian tariffs of land laws to protect the use of the land, right? And the state can create a banking system and also carefully manage the monetary system to protect the productive organizations. So look at here. All the different kinds of protections are all provided by the state only. Can markets do this by itself? Of course not. But paradoxically enough, no human beings, not human beings and natural resources only, but also the organization of capitalist production itself had to be sheltered. That is why we have a very small conclusion here. Not only man, not only nature, but also the one who combines the productive forces of man and nature, we call productive organizations, have to be under the protection of the government from the devastating effect of a self-regulating market. So did you see the cycle of the logic here? The market needs the efforts from man, nature, and productive organization. And to make the market to fully realize its potential, a lot of philosophers emphasize the need to allow the market to self-regulate itself. The government's intervention should be minimized. But if we really allow a market to fully regulate by itself, then we will see that there are a lot of threats that can harm the survival of man, nature, and productive organization. So we do need the state to intervene. We do. Or otherwise, man, nature, and the productive organization cannot operate in the so-called self-regulating market. So how could we find the balance? And what is the balance between the market operation and the state intervention? It's always a very tricky issue for philosophical debate among different scholars. Okay? But basically, we agree to one point. State intervention is necessary for the protection of man, nature, and productive organization. Okay? Okay. This is the basic idea for the reading of today. Let's talk about some of the etymology here. Let's talk about inhabitant. Inhabitant, we have a very simple word, habit, right? Habit, of course, in English is some kind of things you always do, right? Or behaviors you constantly behave. Habit itself is to hold. Hold. So if you are a person, who hold into a place, hold in, that is you are a person living here, you are a resident, a person, okay? And we talk about simultaneously, similar, is same, right? So it's about the same. And dislocation is lock, is to place. And this is away from or off. So dislocate means that you place it into another place. Dislocation. So if you dislocate your joint, right, it means that your bone is kind of in a different places. Dislocation. So dislocation is a misplacement. You place yourself into a different place. Okay. And doctrine. Let's look at doctrine. DOC means teaching. Teaching. So we have a doctor, a person who teach, or a person with great knowledge, or a person who can provide you medical care. So basically, a person who knows things. Okay. And doctrine is some kind of basic teaching you have to learn by yourself. Okay, thought. Okay, how about this orthodox? We know dox refers to teaching, right? Ortho refers to straight, right, correct. Correct teaching, 正统. This is the right teaching, orthodox, 正统. Okay? But how about heterodox? Hetero means different. Heterodox in Chinese is called 异端, 正统, and orthodox versus heterodox is a different. Orthodox in a church, in a belief, means that it is the authentic belief in this church. But a heterodox is a different. It's kind of evil thinking of against the church. It's kind of interesting. Okay. And inherent is very interesting. Inherent. HER refers to stick. So how about this adhere? Nice to stick. Adhere. Sticks together. Okay. Okay, let's move to the tenses. Today we talk about past unreal conditional. Look here. This was more than the usual defensive behavior of a society faced with change. It was a reaction against the dislocation which attacked the fabric of society and which would have destroyed the very organization of production that the market had called into being. Let's look here. Would have destroyed. Do we have an economy or a society that is really destroyed by the market itself? No, it did not happen really, right? So that's would have destroyed. So basically we have several tenses here. Was attacked, would have destroyed, and had called into being. So this is unreal conditional to the past. So we call past unreal conditional over here. Okay, so how can we use the tense, the timeline and the tenses, location, action point to note this kind of comparison? So let's look here. First one, look, we only look at this one. The fabric society, and which would have destroyed the very organization of the production that the market had called into being, right? So the reality is that the market is not destroyed. The fabric society is not destroyed, right? So did not destroy. So what happened if we want to have it destroyed? So basically, this does not happen, but we still ask, if we really want it to be destroyed, so destroying, what shall we do? Then we need to do something. Past and past. So we had okay, we have moved one action before the possible destroy, and we have to have something in the past. So here in the past we need to do something, that is, in the past something had been done, then after that past moment such dislocation would have destroyed. So look here, basically past, we need to, the market had called into being. And after that, would have destroyed. Is that right? So after that, starting from this point, if we had called something had been done, had called into, right? So starting from this part, and after this, we don't know when, but in the past. So would have achieved, would have been done. Okay, have destroyed. So that's why we use would have destroyed. Okay? So this is the basic idea for us, how to use the so-called action point and the timeline. Let me do this one more time for you. Let's do this. So the first one, let's see. we look at this one, the fabric of society, and which this kind of dislocation, right? This kind of dislocation would have destroyed the very organization of production that the market had been called into being. So the first one we see, the society was not destroyed, right? Did not destroy. So if we want to have a destroyed, then we have to change the past action. So past, we use the perfect past tense. Perfect past tense, had, right? Okay, so we change that to this past, then we do something. So if in the past something had been done, here if we done, then after that point, after this moment, some such dislocation would have destroyed. Okay, so we have destroyed this one, then the next we provide will have destroyed the very organization of production. Okay, so this is a very simple. I will explain more that in Chinese in our Wednesday class. So if you want to know more about this, you can come to tell you how to understand the logic of the relation between the action points and the timeline. Okay, let's talk about assignments. Today we introduced several characters. State, although it was not mentioned about state at all, but we see the shadow, the role of state there, right? State, market, man, nature, and productive organization. So basically here, the first one is, why were man and land under a market system made available for sale? You can find the answers from the reading. Very simple, right? In this statement, is this statement still true today? Elaborate your argument with a real case. Of course, you can say, no, it is not true. Or you can say, yes, it is true. But you still need to provide a real case to elaborate your points. Remember, the key here is a real case and also your position. What is your claim toward this? Okay, the second one, assignment 2. Money is a commodity used to exchange more often than another. Throughout history, hides, oxen, shell, and gold has been used as money. New form of money emerge now and then. For example, the Bitcoin, right? So the value of Bitcoin is getting higher and higher. I wish you had some before and still keep it now. I don't. But in Taiwan, we use New Taiwan dollar, of course. And have you ever thought of why you entrust its ability to make exchanges in your daily routine? I just raised the question to you, right? When you offer $1,000, when you go to Bafang Yunji or whatever, you just give it to, you expect that you would have the service and the food put on your table, right? Because you have the banknotes. But why everyone entrust this banknote can make such an exchange? Have you ever thought about why you entrust its ability to make exchanges in your daily routine? Very strange, right? Why? Let's imagine that if one day no people entrust its value to make exchange, what will happen to the New Taiwan dollar, the banknote here? What will happen? Well, it happened to some other countries, some other currencies, right? But not now, of course. Fortunately, we have this. But if one day, let's imagine this, if one day we have a new Taiwan dollar, do you know why we call it new Taiwan dollars? Because there was a Taiwan dollar before. Just after World War II, Taiwan dollar suffered great depreciation. So the government tried to save the money system in Taiwan, so they issued the new Taiwan dollars. The exchange rate between new Taiwan dollar and Taiwan dollars is ridiculous, 1 to 40,000. at that time after war. So imagine this, at the time of such a turbulent, turmoil environments, you can imagine that if your assets were only count on, evaluated with Taiwan dollars, and suddenly the government asks you to exchange 40,000 Taiwan dollars to one new Taiwan dollar. Amazing, right? Amazing. So this is some kind of harm that a monetary system can do to a human being. Okay, so in Taiwan we use new Taiwan dollar. So I want you to explore how the ROC government backs up the value of the new Taiwan dollar. Of course, if you are a foreign student, you can use your own money currency. But the idea is that why you entrust the value of the banknote, and also how your government support the value of the banknote so that you are comfortable and confidently use this as means of exchange in the market. That's a very good question for you to think, right? Assignment number 3. Why was it true insight that market economy, if left to evolve according to its law, own laws will create great and permanent evils? George Orwell, right? So let's think about that. Maybe you could have some idea. Some liberals will argue, come on, I can live on myself. Just a lot of libertarians will argue about that. I don't want government. I don't want government's welfare programs. I don't want the government's regulation against me. No, basically I don't want government. Libertarianism. But why? If the market system left unchecked, it will only create great and permanent evils against humanity. Could be true, right? But why? Take it, state your claim, and support your arguments with evidences. Okay? Okay, so this is what we have for today, and I hope that you can enjoy the power of exchange from your money to buy your lunch. Of course, I don't want you to spend so much. This may be good enough, okay? $100 instead of $1,000. Okay, enjoy and go hunting for your lunch. Well, you don't have too much time for your lunch. But anyway, good days and goodbye. Thank you.